The house of God has gone woke, folks. We need to put an end to this nonsense, okay? Wait till you get a load of this Jesus dude, bro. He will be pissed, okay? I don't understand. Like, do they just rewrite the Bible in evangelical churches? Like, what's going on?
And at Washington's National Cathedral yesterday, with Trump there in the pews, Mary Ann Budde, the Bishop of Washington, confronting him on his immigration crackdown.
The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors.
Making a plea to the president.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here.
I listened to this speech. It's actually pretty good. Like, I mean, it's not the intended target of the message is not going to reach that target, obviously, but it's actually pretty good. It's not like, it's not like lib shit or whatever. It's actually pretty solid. And we'll cover that in a second. Hold on.
Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
But that didn't sit well with the president, overnight calling the bishop a radical left hardline Trump hater, saying her statements were inappropriate. And the president continues to dismantle.
Yeah. Fake Christians, when they see an actual Christian push for, Christianity. Like, dude, American Christians, when they actually face a real Christian message, go, oh, what is this woke nonsense? Okay. Oh, what is this woke DEI commie nonsense? So that's what I'm going to talk about as well. Okay. I'm going to get to that right now. So a couple things took place here. Number one, I want to show you during the sermon, I want to show you Trump's and JD Vance's reactions.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families.
Come on, JD. I thought JD was a real Christian, a real born-again Catholic. What happened? You don't like it? You don't like it when someone is preaching to you about, like, some of the best tenets, some of the most consistently good tenets of religion, which is like, be kind to your neighbor, turn the other cheek, that sort of stuff is so funny, man. These guys hate quote unquote Christians when you hear about some of the good stuff in religion. Immediately are like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean be kind to your neighbor? Well, I'm sorry, love thy neighbor? Not on my watch, brother. I swear to God, if Jesus came back to earth, if Jesus Christ came back to earth and he was, like, unfortunately born in, like, Texas, okay, they would kill him with hammers. Okay, the evangelicals would capture him and beat him to death with hammers. Okay, they would literally be like, oh, we should crucify this asshole. What is this? What is this piece of shit talking about? Feeding the hungry and curing the lepers? Get the fuck out of here, dude. How about we don't do that? Okay, what is this woke commie nonsense you're talking about? Jesus, what is this woke Mexican style communism you're talking about, Jesus? Come over here, boy.
Some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens.
They're so uncomfortable. They're like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear about the humanity of the people that I have actively campaigned to kill, okay? I don't like this. I don't like this one bit.
Or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples.
So they hated that. And I love that Representative Mike Collins, okay, proudly serving Georgia 10, said the person giving this sermon should be added to the deportation list. Brother, that is so insane. Like what? How do you not realize you are a villain, man? Goddamn villain, dude. Like, what is going on? What is happening? This guy is talking about an American pastor giving a sermon on, you know, some of the decent tenets of Christianity. And this guy's like, I don't want to, what are you talking about? You should be killed. Jail or deportation for you immediately. Excuse me. It's psychotic. Yeah. Christians, when you tell them to love thy neighbor, actual Christian stuff. It's just so incredibly cooked, dude. It's so unimaginably cooked. Anyway, here's what Donald Trump said about the woke DEI pastor. And here's how, like, for the record, just understand, Mike Collins' take about deporting this person got 43,000 likes. Okay? And End Wokeness' tweet celebrating Trump's insane ramblings of the pastor got 166,000 likes. The so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left-wing hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. Now, I need to say something here. There has never been a moment. Why are people saying T? Why is everybody spamming T? Now everyone's spamming it. Oh, because he said it in the end. Okay. Is that his call sign now? Hey, it's Big T coming at you. Okay. Dude, no. Hold on. I'm not done with this. Because the thing that I find very funny about this is a Republican president who hugs and kisses the Bible, okay, who won big with the evangelicals, talking about how this person brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. Dude, if churches were not allowed to be political, the Republican Party would never win an election ever again. Okay? What are you talking about? Once again, it's the hypocrisy baiting doesn't work. Okay? Because these guys are just straight up stating what they mean. They're saying it's only political if the church is actually abiding by religious doctrine and telling you to love thy neighbor. Okay? That's political. If the evangelical church sermon revolves around killing trans people, okay, and then, you know, voting for our God, King, Savior, Donald Trump, then that's not political. That's not political at all. That's not politics. That's good. That's the only type of politics that should be allowed. You understand? It is insane to state this. Anyway, she was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal migrants that came into our country and killed people. Can you imagine? Like the expectation from Trump is, no, that's the only allowed sermon, okay? That's the only thing you're allowed to say in a sermon. How dare you not say that non-citizens were responsible for 29 murders in the fiscal year 2024. That's what he wants her to say. He is just straight up the Antichrist, dude. Straight up. Like, what was the expectation that he just sits in church and the pastor is like, I hate immigrants, man. I hate them. We need to deport them all. Thank you for our Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, God King Trump. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please kill all of the Guatemalans. Please. Amen. The church has gone woke, folks. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. He's like, why is this woke pastor not just repeating a Trump rally, repeating some of my finest lies from the Trump rally? How dare this pastor actually go against me? This is some straight up monarch shit, dude. Like, this is history book stuff, okay? This is just literally the king being like, excuse me, I was ordained by God. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? This kind of speech is not allowed. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was a very boring and uninspiring one. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. And to cap it off, T. Yeah. And of course, predictably, people are just like, let's get one thing straight. This is not a minister of God, and her church, in air quotes, is not a Christian church. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, my Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. Fantastic stuff from Donald Trump. And also fantastic stuff from Representative Mike Collins, who wants to deport this person who apparently was born in the state of New Jersey. So I guess they're trying to deport her back to New Jersey. Anyway, here was her response on CNN.
And your tone there, so serious and genuine. You see him, he's stone-faced, he then looks down, but he's listening to every word you say. As you made that personal plea to him, what were you looking at him in that moment? What kind of response were you perhaps hoping for in that moment?
I was looking at the president because I was speaking directly to him. I was also, frankly, as you do in every sermon, speaking to everyone who was listening through that one-on-one conversation with the president, reminding us all that in the people that are frightened in our country, the two groups of people that I mentioned are our fellow human beings, and that they have been portrayed in all throughout the political campaign in the harshest of lights that I wanted to counter as gently as I could with a reminder of their humanity and their place in our wider community. And I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, you know, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society who are, in fact, our neighbors, our friends, our children, our friends' children, and so forth.
So you spoke, I like how you use the word gently, because it was gentle. I mean, it was intense and passionate, but yet it was gentle. It was not ugly or confrontational. Wouldn't expect it to be, but you know, these are hard things to talk about in that context. You spoke, obviously, about undocumented.
Nothing pisses off conservative Christians more than like a real ass Christian, okay? Like a pastor, a bishop that abides by, you know, the good things in the Bible. Nothing pisses them off. That's why they also hated Jimmy Carter too, right? Jimmy Carter as president did a whole bunch of awful stuff, but I have always maintained the position that like Jimmy Carter I think, was spiritually a very frustrating person for a lot of evangelical Christians who hated the fact that he was doing the Christ-like shit, the stuff that you're supposed to do if you're a Christian, build houses, help feed the hungry. Like, it's just so frustrating to them. It's kind of like the way the Democratic Party despises the likes of Bernie Sanders, because like Bernie Sanders shows the rest of the population of Democratic voters like how you could be a competent and progressive leader. They hate that. They're like, whoa, you're not supposed to actually want to walk the walk. You're supposed to just talk the talk, and then do nothing. It's the same thing. It just like kind of exposes them as the frauds that they are. So they just despise it. They hate that. They absolutely despise a Christian person who actually abides by the good standards set forth in religious doctrine. Okay?
Migrants, also the LGBT community, the two communities you're talking about. I wanted to play a little bit more of what you said, and also, again, the president's reaction at that moment.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
What made you decide to say all that today?
Well, these are the people that I know. These are not abstract people for me. These are actual people that I know. So I wanted to speak on their behalf. I wanted to present a vision of what unity can look like in this country that is transcending of differences and viewpoints and acknowledging our common humanity.
Yes.
I wanted to speak in such a way that reflected that dignity and respect, but I also wanted...
Disgusting. Woke nonsense. How dare you? Christianity is supposed to be about killing thy neighbor if I suspect thy neighbor of being Guatemalan, okay? That's what Christianity is about. Excuse me. What the hell are you talking about? Evangelical Christians operate in the exact way that Reddit atheists claim Christians are like all the time. They operate in the cartoonishly evil, villainous ways in which Reddit atheists, like militant atheists, depict them as all the time, like all day, every day. They're like, whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean about love thy neighbor? How dare you? I'm not loving anybody except for Donald Trump, my Lord and Savior. F you.
To bring into that space the real humanity of the people of
American Christianity is satanic. It's prosperity gospel is such an obvious satanic interpretation of Christianity. It is hilarious to me. Okay. It is like the most evil thing that masquerades as being godly. It is crazy. And it's the most popular form of Christianity in America. It is nutty to me. What do you mean a rich man has the same likelihood of getting into heaven that a camel does through the eye of a needle? That's stupid gay shit. That's woke DEI. Sounds like Marxism to me. You! How dare you say shit like that? Heaven is woke now. Anyway.
that I was referencing.
What is this? This is funny. Coming from a Christian household, we went to the same church my whole life. When I turned 18, my pastor gave a positive stance on abortion and started a clinic to aid immigrants in southern Arizona, and my family left the church. That's amazing. Nope. They just noped. They pieced out of God, dude. Hasan, Republican, coming out today? What do you mean? Yeah. The house of God has gone woke, folks. We need to put an end to this nonsense, okay? New. The liberal activist, by the way, here's Colin Rugg. The liberal activist bishop who told Trump to show mercy to LGBT kids says she called out the president because it was her responsibility to counter him. Your responsibility is not to turn a sermon into a political debate. Wait, what? Dude, these people have not gone to any churches, right? Because I've been inside of churches, okay? I've been inside of churches. Let me tell you, there is not a single church that does not engage in political commentary. It's either political commentary like this one, okay, and there are plenty of wonderful churches that do this, okay, or if you go to like or if you want to hear infinitely more radical commentary, go to a black church, specifically African Methodist Church. The African Methodist Church I went to in LA was like all about how, you know, all about fuck the government. Any church that presents liberation and preaches liberation theology will obviously always have some incredibly radical and awesome takes as well. Jeremiah Wright comes to mind. But the rest of the churches, the overwhelming majority of churches, as a matter of fact, in the United States of America, are unimaginably right-wing and incredibly political. There's so many MAGA pastors. One of them that was at the inauguration even did a rug pull. She was given a great honor today, a chance to unify America around a Christian message at the dawn of a new administration. Instead, she disgraced herself with a lecture you'd hear on CNN or an episode of The View. What an embarrassment. Dude, they can't understand that is a unifying Christian message. Like, it does not read in the same vein for them. They're so bludgeoned in the head, both literally and figuratively, with right-wing reactionary propaganda that, like, a person saying it's godly and Christian-like to love thy neighbor is seen as a woke message that has no place in the church. It's the Bible. That's in the Bible. God damn America. That's in the Bible. Oh my God. I'm losing my mind. Here, all right, well.
Where governments lie, God does not lie. Where governments change, God does not change. And I'm through now. But let me leave you with one more thing. Governments fail. The government in this text, comprised of Caesar, Quirinius, Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate. The Roman government failed. The British government used to rule from east to west. The British government had a Union Jack. She colonized Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, and Hong Kong. Her navies ruled the 7 seas all the way down to the tip of Argentina in the Falklands. But the British government failed. The Russian government failed. The Japanese government failed. The German government failed. And the United States of America government, when it came to treating her citizens of Indian descent fairly, she failed. She put them on reservations. When it came to treating her citizens, as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
I love that. It's one of my favorite takes of all time. Straight up. That was Obama's pastor, by the way. And because of that, obviously the Republicans immediately went after Obama and were like, Obama is the Antichrist who hates America, all this stuff. And Obama had to, of course, no longer associate himself with Jeremiah Wright, and he canceled him. And of course, this is the Boondocks, famous Boondocks clip.
Motherfucker, America's daddy! America can eat a dick! America can lick the balls!
This is hilarious. No notes, you know? Not even paraphrasing. I mean, basically the same exact one. Basically the same exact thing he said. Anyway, so yeah, that's the case right there. All right, so the notion that like obviously these guys or churches are supposed to be apolitical is a very funny one coming from the Republican Party. But of course, as is the case with reactionary dipshits, all the way from the silliness that comes from the wokeness ruined video game right-wing political commentators, all the way to the top of the party ticket, the president. Politics is when woke. Politics is not when right-wing politics is happening. That's normal. That's common sense. Okay, that's why video games like Call of Duty are not political, but video games where there's a woman in it are political. Okay, just remember that. Let's hear what the Fox News, Fox and Friends has to say about this woke gay ass bishop.
Yesterday, the presidential party and members of Congress and whatnot, the hoi polloi of Washington for the most part, went up to Washington's National Cathedral for a national prayer event. And there at the lectern was Bishop Marianne Edgar Bood, and she gave a sermon that, you know, it's described as a sermon, but really it was a lecture where she told the new president, go easy on migrants and refugees and members of the LGBTQ community. If you missed it, it's gotten a lot of support in some quarters and a lot of criticism. Here she is.
I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear.
Dude, JD Vance's face here is so gross. He's like, oh, I can't believe I'm getting lectured at a sermon. What are you, a preacher? What am I, sitting in a church pew? What is this, a sermon? What the hell's going on here? Oh, that's awesome. I know I didn't cover this yesterday, but it is so funny how angry this got Republicans, dude. And how angry they got in the funniest ways possible.
For their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Oh my God!
It's always good to learn. What was that, John, or was that Paul?
I don't know. She didn't go through scripture. Okay,
Right.
She gave a political speech.
Absolutely.
And as someone that comes from generations of preachers, I would have walked out. I commend the president for being graceful, but I'm JD Vance. I'm looking crazy. Like, what is she talking about doing a sermon? I don't think it was the appropriate time. If you had something to say to the president that may be a little political, if you wanted to talk about the president exercising mercy, then you could have asked for the president for a few minutes of his time and said, Mr.
Dude, this is amazing. Dude, yeah, wait till they find out about this gay ass Jesus guy, okay? Lame ass, communist ass, brown dude who was, you know, preaching very similar things, doing very similar things, you know? Wait till you get a load of this Jesus dude, bro. He will be pissed, okay? What are they? I don't understand. Like, do they just rewrite the Bible in evangelical churches? Like, what's going on? I actually don't. I legitimately don't know, because I don't, you know, I'm not a very religious person in general, and I obviously am not Christian either. Is it just like made up stuff? Like, what's happening? You open the Donald Trump Bible at your the Southern Baptist church, and in it is like, you should actually kill poor people, and to be rich is to be glorious. Deng Xiaoping. Is that what's going on? Like, there's just no takeaway. There's no positive takeaways from their Bible, I guess. I mean, there's like hundreds of different versions. So yeah, I mean, I know, but like the basic tenets are supposed to still be there. Love thy neighbor is a basic tenet. Okay. It is a basic tenet. It's not like an advanced level Bible course. That's like Bible 101, right? That's Christianity 101. If you couldn't figure that out, I don't know what to tell you. Like, what are you looking at? What the are you reading? Are you reading at all? You probably don't know how to read because you were homeschooled, I assume. But like, this is not like really difficult to comprehend stuff. This is not difficult. This is just like super simple stuff. Okay. Leviticus 19:34, when a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong unless he ain't from around here, in parentheses. The stranger who sojourns with you shall be to you as the native among you, on a reserve far away, in parentheses. You shall love him as yourself. If you are a gay lib unless you are a gay lib who hates freedom, or in which case you shouldn't. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt, which was, in parentheses, which was filled with rapists and illegals. I just don't get it. As someone who grew up with this, my parents are MAGA evangelicals. What they do is insidious. They take the verses they deem acceptable and create sermons around it. Most don't actually read the Bible and rely entirely on what the preacher is telling them. And even if they do read the Bible themselves, they somehow twist it to fit their narrative in it. You know what's really crazy about this? What you're describing is the historical interpretation of Christianity in the original Latin, as a matter of fact. The Bible was quite inaccessible to the regular peasant folk who also believed in it. And you know what solved that problem? The printing press. What are we doing? We have literally devolved back to the Dark Ages. What the f-? It's crazy. It is crazy. I thought we had advanced past this point where people could be like, I don't know if what this preacher is saying is correct about me potentially going to heaven if I give him enough money. Because it says here that there's a lot of good stuff in here that I actually don't agree with the priest's interpretation of. I thought that's how it happened in the most reductive way possible. How the f did we get back to a place where information is readily accessible and people are somehow stupider? It's crazy. The hilarious part about this is that love thy neighbor is not even, like I said, an advanced version of the Bible. It's not like you have to, dig deep to try to figure this out. It's like one of the more popular, I would say, tenets of Christianity. Super basic stuff. VeggieTales. Exactly. VeggieTales shit, man. Chatter is correct. Preachers will take one sentence and will craft a narrative around it with the final message being, let's thank Jesus for inventing spaghetti. Meanwhile, the sentences before and after, the one they chose, lays out in great detail how we should feed the poor. Yeah, also, what you're describing is literally how that psychotic Moonies adjacent gun cult was created in the Christian church in the United States of America, initially in Pennsylvania, and now I believe they have a compound in either Tennessee or Texas. One or the other, I can't remember. They call it the Church of Iron because of one singular passage. The gun cult. Like one word out of a passage and a false interpretation is enough for someone to be like, yeah, actually, the Rod of Iron Ministries is the name of the church. We've covered it extensively on this broadcast. Like the guys that go get married to their guns and stuff. It's super basic shit.
Mr. President, this is the issue that I feel. But don't get up there and try to preach a sermon that you cite no scripture for.
Well, she's not going to talk to him because during the George Floyd riots back in 2020, she said she'd given up trying to speak to Trump and said that he needed to be replaced. So,
look at the children. There's children there, too, that are hearing this message.
Well, here's the thing. The president's team should have known that she could have said things that were inappropriate or stuff that they didn't need to hear or was not appropriate.
Just Google her.
That's all they would have to do. But instead, they put him in that position.
Oh, yeah, this is a old meme, but pretty funny still. Every lifelong Catholic I've ever met is like, I think we're supposed to give this food to poor people. And every adult convert is like, the archon of Constantinople's epistle on the Pentecostine rites of the Eucharist clearly states women shouldn't have driver's licenses. Pronounced archon. No, I love the Catholic converts. What is this? Can't get enough of these guys? Nighttime erection data from my 19-year-old son and me. His duration is 2 minutes longer than mine. Raise children to stand tall, be firm, and be upright. Did your son give you permission to share these? This is very sensitive and private information. I excitedly proposed it. Dude, I'm going to be honest. White people have evolved in a very dangerous way, okay? Thank you, M. Hunt, for showing me this wonderful, wonderful thing. I don't know what happened here, but somewhere along the line, this is it. This is this is dangerous stuff, man. This must not be. You cannot try to copy this, okay? Please. I will never forgive Dr. Yakub for his crimes. Never, ever.
Position where he's in the front row.
Why was she selected? Is she's
the bishop,
the rector of the...
Of that bishop, of that particular national cathedral. Here she is last night on CNN explaining what she wanted to do.
I was speaking to the president because I felt that he...
Oh, they're so mad.
She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. She failed to mention the large number of illegal immigrants that came into our country and killed people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It's a giant crime wave that is taking part in the USA. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very...
Can you imagine how insane that sermon would look like if she said that? Like, also, they deleted the T part. What's happening?
And
no, they deleted T. Big T.
inspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. You got this historic moment. She decides to give a lecture.
Wait, they're not going to talk about the T? They left out the T. That's Big T. That's his new call sign.
A self-important person who probably had AOC jot some notes down before.
You know what? I mean, she has every right to her opinion. We all have an opinion on this issue.
Right.
But I don't like it when ministers bring politics into the pulpit and try to lecture you. So I agree with you. Maybe pull him aside after the service and say, Mr. President, may I talk to you for a little bit? There's something in my community that bothers me that I need to tell you about, and just have an adult conversation, but do it privately. Because now everyone's talking
but
about this.
The issue that she's asking for mercy on when it comes to the border, did you go and speak to any of the families that were killed by illegals? How about coming into New York and talk to the cops that had fire shot at them? Did you ask for mercy for the cops? I mean, that's why you don't get involved in this. She could have said, let's bring the country together. Let's have the spirit of Christ. But she went into some political...
She did say that. That's what she did say. That's literally what she said. That was the whole point. The entire point of her message was, let's unite and recognize the humanity of people that work tirelessly to keep this country going. That is the message. What is going on? She said it in plain English. She used the English language to say the thing that you're claiming she wasn't saying. English. Do you speak it? What is going on? That's precisely what she said. And she didn't like come across in the most like radical ways or whatever. She didn't do like liberation theology or anything like that. She didn't say, God damn America. Okay. She just simply said, it would be nice if you could be merciful to those who are tired, hungry, and poor and work to serve the American nation in very meaningful ways. That's in the Bible, she said. Love thy neighbor. You know, that's crazy. These guys they hate the Bible. This is officially the last stage of American conservatism where virtually every part of the project is about vice signaling. Okay? No virtues, vices only. If you have a position of virtue, you must be virtue signaling, and it's bad. If you have an opinion where you're like, can we be kind to people? You also should get deported, which is what that one representative from Georgia said, as a matter of fact. It is so crazy. It's not even like there's no room for, hold on. There's no room for like, oh, well, what this person simply doesn't understand is that like sometimes cruelty must be conducted by the right-wing government or whatever. None of that. You know what I mean? No, like, hey, the reality is much more complicated. None of that. Just straight up like, no, we're bad people and we like to do bad. And if you tell us to not do bad things, that means you're wrong and gay and woke and DEI and you. That's why I said earlier, like, if Jesus came back to earth today, they would kill him. They would literally kill him. Okay? They would just kill him with hammers. They would hold him down and probably crucify him. Okay?
Radical leftists. Right. I don't know that church. I don't know the...
This whole channel is constantly negative Nancy. Are you talking about Fox News? Because if you are, I agree with you. A lot of negative things are happening in the world. If you think that I'm in the wrong for covering it, and instead I should just leave it in the dark, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're saying Fox News is negative Nancy, oh, you do. Okay, then yeah, you're
structure. Right. But whoever is in command should have a look at this. Well, this is not biblical doctrine that she's speaking from the pulpit.
Back in the day, I used to have a bit. Some of the old heads will remember, where I would joke about how like PragerU is going to start making children's books where they literally say like sharing is caring is communist propaganda. And I think we've arrived at that reality. You know what I mean? Like, you know, basic stuff that you teach children, like sharing is caring. Like, nope, that's communist propaganda. You know, don't fight. Don't bully other people. They're gonna be like, nope, that's woke and gay. You should bully other people as long as they are less fortunate than you. Please bully people. What are you, some woke Marxist? That's DEI. Officially, the Bible is woke. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible is too woke. We don't need any of that communist nonsense. We don't want our children learning about this communist garbanzo, okay? Get it out of our schools.
What denomination is this? Is it Episcopal?
I think Episcopalian, I think. Here's the thing. If she's going to be the bishop and she's going to lecture the president every time he goes to events like that, maybe it's time for the president and Washington in general to stop going to the National Cathedral.
I'm for that too.
Listen, not far from the White House is St. Matthew's, where we baptized my son Peter, or go to the Basilica at Catholic University. It's referred to as America's Catholic Church. I doubt that they would ever make anything political. And if you remember, at the inaugural, who gave one of the opening prayers? Cardinal Dolan. Yeah. Was he political? Absolutely not. He was looking to the future. So, Trump just don't go back.
Donald Trump said he's non-denominational now, and so go to a non-denominational church. You're not going to get a lecture like that.
Well, put it this way: why doesn't he just say, if you don't, get rid of her or change your tone? If the president,
no, that's not true either. What are you talking about? Just don't go back there, Mr. President. Please, I beg you, do not read the Bible. Oh, I really don't like that my preacher is preaching to me from the lectern where she is delivering a lecture. What has the church come to? Please go to a church where they don't actually teach any of the teachings of Christianity, even super basic ones, sir. This way you'll be able to avoid this dangerous brain rot. Woke DEI. Republicans arriving at defunding the churches because they're doing too much politics is funny. Goes to show you that, once again, if most churches actually operated in a Christ-like fashion, we probably would have defunded the churches a long time ago. Yes, I said the keyword avoid. Just like you can avoid the top of the hour ad break. Also, my alerts are not working right now. I don't know why. I see people subscribing and I don't see the alerts. We're working on it. Fear not. Subscribe to test it out, though. Or subscribe to support the broadcast, which you can do for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Smash the fash. Thank you for the 10 community gifted subs. The gifted subs show up still, it seems, but the main alerts don't. Are the ads back? No, they're not back. I'm just memeing. I'm messing with you. Okay, 16.47. Got it. Your boy X Bob, News Train. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Mr. President, please don't go back to the woke church. Please, I beg of you. Like, as though Trump cares about any church, really. Like, as though Trump is going to go to church. I'm just shocked that he didn't catch on fire the moment he walked in, okay? Did you just drop a fear not? We're going to have to pull up Sodom and Gomorrah on those that tweet your thirst traps? What? The sermon Fox News wanted? Give a man a fish and he will eat for a day. Deport a man and you will never have to feed him again. Trump 2020. Hell yeah, baby. These guys are awesome.
The States decides not to go to the National Cathedral. That would be Titanic news.
It would be.
And it would really put pressure on her to start doing the whole bishop thing. I don't know what form she filled out and how many interviews she went through, but you realize for her to get that job and do that and to do that mass, how many people had to sign off on it?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, it's not like she's like, oh.
Yeah, burn the church down, I think. He's like, we should kill her. And burn the church to the ground, I think.
Sure, he is.
I was just a hole in the schedule. I'm filling in for somebody.
She's had that job for a while. She absolutely, to your point, Ainsley, she is absolutely protected by the First Amendment.
Course.
And she can say anything she wants, but just, the Trump team probably should have looked a little into her background. Is she going to go ahead and sandbag him?
But she's supposed to be representing the great book, okay?
Right.
And nothing that she said there was representative of that. She's saying mercy, but it says nothing about obeying the laws of the land.
I think people who have her opinion are reading the whole border situation in the wrong way. It's not that he doesn't have compassion. Of course he has compassion on every single person. Everyone's God's child. It's not about that. It's about taxpayers paying so much for other people. We're pouring into the tax base.
That's right.
And they're giving that money to people who are not here legally and are not contributing. That's all it is. And the crime, the people that are murdering Lake and Riley, you know, yes, you're right. She should have a conversation with their parents and have mercy on those families.
Which just passed. Lake and Riley, the Lake and Riley bill, and had over 40 votes in the House alone.
Right, goes back to the House today.
But she wants to be
to
famous.
Trump.
That's why she hops on CNN. That's why she sat there. And there's video of her in 2020 with her.
Yeah, that's why she showed compassion, which is unexpected from a bishop, dude. These people are insane. Demanding mercy for people that live on God's soil, all children of God, is an unacceptable position for the supposed Christ lovers over at Fox News. What a time to be alive. What a world to live in, man. Great. These are the real Christ lovers that your parents watch, by the way. And then, you know, when you're wondering where they're getting these like insane points from, these are the real Christ lovers that they hear from, okay? The real followers of Christ.
A ridiculous mask on, outdoors, with the little vent on the side, screaming about Donald Trump and what he should be, and the George Floyd riots. That's not somebody that wants to be a leader for everybody.
No, she shouldn't be in clergy.
Okay,
Anyway.
so that's something
More Al Sharpton.
A lot of people, both sides, talking about today. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
Amazing.
Turning now to Washington. That's where.
Sorry, this is the Al Franken.
The Gospel of Supply Side Jesus.
This is even funnier. It was actually funny.
Pontius Pilate summons our hero. Bring me this king of the Jews that I might meet him. This supply side Jesus. Supply side Jesus arrives. So you are the supply side Jesus. What a magnificent robe you have. Because of this robe, 10 craftsmen were able to feed their families. The goldsmith who made the trim and the filigree was able to hire an apprentice because I paid him so handsomely. And what a beautiful haircut you have, supply side Jesus. The barber who gave me this haircut was able to hire a manicurist. She had been a prostitute, but because I needed a pedicure, she is now able to fulfill her true potential. Yes, the cuticles are absolutely perfect. But there are those in Jerusalem who are not happy with your radical new teaching, supply side Jesus. Watch yourself. Supply side Jesus leads his disciples past a leper colony on his way to the Sermon on the Mount.
Should you feed the lepers, supply side Jesus?
No, Thomas. That would just make them lazy. Then shouldn't you at least heal them, supply side Jesus? No, James. Leprosy is a matter of personal responsibility. If people knew I was healing the lepers, there would be no incentive to avoid leprosy. Supply side Jesus, I think I've got a great line for your Sermon on the Mount. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. For shame, Peter. That's class warfare. But it does give me an idea. It is easier for a rich man to enter heaven seated comfortably on the back of a camel than it is for a poor man to pass through the eye of a needle. If you are prosperous on earth, that means that God is rewarding your rugged individualism. If you are poor, it is a sign that God frowns on your reliance on handouts.
Okay, this part is literally prosperity gospel.
The only way to gain entrance into God's kingdom of abundance is to show your faith by giving to him through his only Son, me, supply side Jesus. My disciples will now pass among you, and he who gives more than 1,000 shekels will become a supply side Jesus pioneer and have access to me at our annual Yom Kippur Break the Fast dinner.
The word of the Lord.
The Last Supper. This very night, one of you will betray me to pay off a gambling debt. No, said Simon the Canaanite. I don't believe it, said James the Greater. Not I, said Philip Bethesda. Not us, said James the Lesser. Oh boy, thought William Bennett Iscariot. Supply-side Jesus was arrested that very night and brought before Pontius Pilate. Supply-side Jesus, the Pharisees are angry. They say you are cutting into their action. That's the marketplace of ideas, Pilate. But your ideas are misleading, and you are making the poor even poorer. What do you say to that, supply-side Jesus? Average income is going up, and social mobility within the Roman Empire is greater than ever. Look at me. I came from the humblest of roots, and yet now I am one of the richest men in all.
It's also kind of interesting because this is also damning about what liberals now represent and how conservative liberals have become in terms of like promoting neoliberal economics and like looking at economic markers. Like people that 20 years ago would be considered like cretins of the market are now absolutely at the heart of the Democratic Party. Like, think about that. This is Al Franken, guys. Like, he is currently making fun of conservatives. Okay? He's making fun of conservatives talking about, like, the GDP or KPIs, like key performance indicators, or the fact that, like, there's upward social mobility. Like, look at the economic factors. And it's interesting to think that, like, nowadays, this is exactly what you hear. This is exactly what you hear from Democrats and liberals in general.
Judea.
That's because you're a huckster, supply-side Jesus. I sentence you to death by crucifixion.
It was Passover custom to release a condemned prisoner. Pilate decided to let the people choose supply-side Jesus' fate.
Who would you have me release? This man, supply-side Jesus, who claims to be your king and insists you stand on your own 2 feet? Or in the case of you lepers, your good foot and stump? Or this man, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who also claims to be your king and preaches a gospel of compassion, generosity, and good works?
20 shekels for anyone who votes for me, supply-side Jesus said.
Give us supply-side Jesus!
The next day, supply-side Jesus passed by Calvary on his way out of town. Forgive them, Father. Supply-side Jesus knew just what to do. Romans! Tax cuts will double our revenues and ensure that the empire never declines or falls. And I will stop these environmentalists who claim that lead is poisoning our water system. And I will eliminate the threat from Mesopotamia once and for all by invading Iraq.
Oh, man. Here's Prager U.
Was Jesus a socialist? Well, if socialism is nothing more than being kind to other people, then you might think the answer is yes.
I mean, yeah. Hasan Reactions, was Jesus a socialist 4 years ago? 5 years ago now. I've watched this before. Is Prager finally dead? No, dude. They're teaching this stuff in schools now. They're using this as teachable material for children.